What's going on, Packers fans? Happy Tuesday. Welcome into an all-new episode of the Pack-A-Day Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can follow the podcast at Pack-A-Day Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, give those 5-star reviews. And if you'd be so inclined, you can always check out those Pack-A-Day Podcast YouTube memberships as well. Shout out to Quinn Gorski and Tony Halata for signing up. Appreciate you guys a ton. I get asked all the time of Andy, what is the best way to support the channel? Obviously, the YouTube memberships are great. We appreciate that a ton, but any interaction with the channel is always amazing. So like I said, the likes, the comments, the subscribes, clicking on anything, clicking on the advertisements, anything that you can do like that is always super helpful. So we always appreciate that a ton. Also love to tell you about Autograph. If you have not yet checked it out, make sure to do so. This Sunday, Packers Bears is going to be my second time doing a live halftime chat on the Autograph app. Just super simple. It's not an audio thing. It's not a video thing. I'm just going to be there chatting with you guys during halftime, answering your questions. It's super easy. It's super fun, super casual. We had a lot of great questions a couple weeks ago prior to the bye week against the Lions. So that was really fun. I'm looking forward to doing that again this upcoming Sunday. And of course, it is your one-stop shop for all things Green Bay Packers. So make sure to check that out. And you can get it now for all of your other teams as well. So definitely worth downloading. It's a free app. You can use code PACKADAY when you're signing up. Also, I'll be doing an exclusive video over there later this week. So keep an eye out for that as well. Some good news on the Packers injury front before we get to our main topic. First of all, Marshawn Lloyd, he is activated off of injured reserve. They opened up his 21-day window. So he will have 3 weeks to get basically back on the 53-man roster. If he cannot, then they would have to put him on IR and keep him on IR, and that would finish his season. He wouldn't be able to play after that. But you can bet within the next 3 weeks he will be back. Now, Green Bay does have an open roster spot right now. Now, I don't think that they will just go ahead and activate him this week. I think they'll give him some ramp-up time. It's sort of a lot to go from IR to all of a sudden playing in that exact same week. It's not impossible. It's not unheard of. It does definitely happen. I would expect it more if it was maybe this big position of need or you're desperately wanting this player back. But right now with Josh Jacobs, and then you've got Christopher Brooks and Emmanuel Wilson, you're not exactly in this huge need for a running back at the moment. So much so where you're kind of wondering right now when Marshawn Lloyd gets back, how exactly is that going to fit in? So my guess is they give him a little bit more time, let him get ramped up and then ready to go. And then they kind of let some of those, sort of running back spots and IR spots and those sort of things figure themselves over the course of the next couple weeks. But if they were to need him this week or wanted him this week, part of the game plan, whatever it might be, they do have that 53-man roster spot available based on the Preston Smith trade from last week. So they could put him on there if they want, or they could give it 2 to 3 more weeks, a week more, whatever they need to kind of get him ready to go and ready for game action. Again, my guess is not active this week would be just my hunch, but we'll have to kind of wait and see. But either way, great news that he is back and practicing or ready to practice. And of course, he will see the practice field on Wednesday when Green Bay returns to practice, again, coming off the bye week. Some other really great injury news. Matt Schneidman, who does the Matt LaFleur show and speaks to Matt LaFleur once a month. That's going to be on his Tuesday show. He spoke to Matt LaFleur on Monday when they recorded their episode. And one of the things that they discussed was the injuries and specifically the players coming back from injury. And per Matt Schneidman, Matt LaFleur is optimistic that Jair Alexander, Evan Williams, and Josh Myers will all play Sunday in Chicago, but in very Matt LaFleur fashion says they will give them the week to sort of have that sorted out. But great news there that if all 3 of those guys can play, those are the 3 big injury questions right now. And that would be a huge boost. Now it's Chicago, right? They're not playing great football, but you still want as many guys healthy as possible. And getting your secondary back, Evan Williams and Jair Alexander, would be massive. And then Josh Myers, we saw the importance of Myers at center as Elton Jenkins had some of those issues with the snap, specifically in the rain. Don't think that's something that would plague Jenkins long term, but still great to see Myers back as well. So great news there on the injury front. Marshawn Lloyd, again, opened up the 21-day window and optimistic that Alexander, Williams, and Myers are all going to go this Sunday against Chicago. That really doesn't leave very many question marks, right? Colby Wooden had the injury in the last game against Detroit. We don't really know what's up with that, and we'll see if he practices on Wednesday. Marshawn Lloyd, again, we don't know when they're going to activate him, and then Luke Musgrave is going to be out still for a while, it would seem. But outside of that, if in fact Alexander, Williams, and Myers are all good to go, Green Bay's injury list looks pretty pared down unless there was some sort of injury against Detroit that we're just not privy to or not, we don't know about. And hopefully that's not the case, but we'll see who practices and who does not on Wednesday. And we should get a better feel for which players might be available and which ones might not be available against the Bears this upcoming Sunday. All right, let's get to our main topic. It is time. It is officially time to figure out and discuss what's going on with Jordan Love. Is this interception issue a major issue? Is it something that's much ado about nothing? Is it injury related? Let's go through it. Let's talk about it because I know a lot of people are, of course, going in extreme directions. I've seen a lot of Jordan Love is a bust. Not a lot. I very much take that back. I've seen a smattering of Jordan Love is a bust. I've seen some comments here and there. He's a mediocre. He's mid. He's whatever. First of all, to base anything on this season so far is really crazy based on how the season has gone. We have not seen 100% Jordan Love, even going back to really camp when he got back from signing the contract, right? There was some injury issues early on, then gets injured in the Eagles game, gets re-injured in the Jacksonville game. It's not been his season so far based on some of the injuries and issues that he's had. So to base anything on the game so far is probably rather ridiculous because he has been banged up. And he hasn't been himself. He hasn't been as mobile. And absolutely that's going to affect a young quarterback. No question about it. But let's go through it. Let's go through the interceptions. Let's go through the decision-making and see where is Jordan Love in this decision-making process. Is he on the really bad side of things? Is he okay? Is he good? Let's go through it. Let's discuss it. And let's try to figure it out once and for all as we get ready for this second half of the season. And hopefully people have a little bit more of some forgiveness after Sam Darnold throws 3 picks the other day. Jared Goff throws 5 interceptions the other day. It's just a reminder that, guys, these things happen. Matt LaFleur saying, hey, sometimes it's the cost of doing business is not just for speak. It's not just for show. In the NFL, you have to make some throws sometimes, and there's going to be some decisions that you make that you're going to want to have back. The defense gets paid too. They're ultra focused on taking away the football. These things are going to happen. And I think we are all, everyone, myself included, anyone that's been a Packer fan for, any part of the Aaron Rodgers era, we are very used to Aaron Rodgers and what he did taking care of the football. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He is the most risk-averse quarterback in the history of football, and specifically in the history of the NFL. He does not turn the ball over almost ever, right? That has been one of his true superpowers. I will argue that it was not always the best thing. There is a happy medium between the gunslinger of Brett Favre and the I'm not going to take a lot of risks almost ever in Aaron Rodgers. Now, if I had to choose, I would go towards the sign of Aaron, right? Turnovers bad. That's pretty simple math. Turnovers equal bad. But I do think there comes a point in a time where you need to take some chances. You need to give your guys some shots. You need to utilize the middle of the field. You need to be a playmaker. And I always did feel like there was a little bit of Aaron that was just not always wired to maybe go for some of those big plays, even when they were there, because there was the off chance that it could get intercepted, that interception would go on his ledger as a negative play for him. And that's not a disparaging remark towards Aaron. That's always how I kind of felt it a little bit. Like I said, he's the most risk-averse quarterback of all time. He was phenomenal in taking care of the football. He basically single-handedly almost won you the turnover battle every single week because he was not going to throw an interception. He was not going to throw a pick. But sometimes it did come at the cost of playmaking. So sometimes living on the extremes, there's definitely a side where you can be too much of a playmaker, gunslinger. There's definitely a side too where you can be a bit too cautious with the ball. And I do think you have to sort of find that happy medium. But as fans, as Packer fans, we are all very used to seeing the ball leave a quarterback's hands and never be put in harm's way, or at least very rarely. And even it seemed like with Aaron all the time, it seemed like in an odd way, whenever he actually threw a pick, they would always drop it. It always felt that way. And then all of his picks, it felt like were off of fluky, the receiver tips it and it goes right to the defender, or some crazy thing happened, right? And more often than not, it always felt that way. But Aaron was so great at taking care of the football that it has been an adjustment period, I think, for a lot of Packer fans, myself included. Again, I'll say it one more time. When you're watching, I'm looking up at my TV, you can't see, but when you're watching on TV and you're watching the TV copy, right? And when the ball leaves the quarterback's hands, you can't always see what's going down, on down the field. So there's like, this moment where the ball leaves his hands and there's this mystery box, right? Of like, all right, who's he throwing to? What's going to happen? And every time it left Aaron's hand, it was like you had no doubt whatsoever that maybe it was going to be incomplete, but you never had any doubt that it was going to end up either to a Green Bay Packer or again, fall harmlessly incomplete. You just never had the feel of like, oh, there could be a defender waiting on the other end of it. So we became very spoiled in that regard. And this is definitely a degree of different, and certainly where Jordan has been playing so far this season with some of the interceptions that he's been throwing. So I think the question that we really want to ask is, how big of a problem is this? I've gone through this before. I'll go through it one more time right now. These were the interceptions that Jordan has thrown so far this year with my commentary on it and how I sort of view it. You don't have to agree. Interceptions are bad. If you want to just put that in one lump sum category, you are more than welcome to do so. I don't think that's totally the accurate way to do that, but let's go through it. First game, Philadelphia Eagles. Has that throw to Luke Musgrave over the middle. Reed Blankenship took a great angle on it, jumped the pass, kind of got around Musgrave. I think maybe you'd like to see Musgrave fight a little bit more for that, maybe get to that ball a little bit better, maybe take a little bit of a better angle. I think it's a great play by Reed Blankenship. I really do. Can I see what Jordan was seeing on the play? Yes. Do I think there was maybe a window there to complete that? Meaning like I can forgive his decision-making on that play? To some extent, yes. Is it a play that maybe down, backed up in your own sort of end zone, you maybe just say, hey, maybe that's not the throw to make in this situation? Sure. Is it an egregious one? I don't think so. I think more often than not, you tip your cap to Reed Blankenship. You maybe hope for a little bit better from Luke Musgrave in that situation, and you learn from it. No harm, no foul. I mean, obviously harm is the interception, right? And foul is you lost that game, and that possession definitely did not help you. But that's one I think, again, as a young quarterback, you can still learn from. It's not an egregious one, in my opinion. The second one, Christian Watson injury play against the Minnesota Vikings. He throws that ball over the middle of the field. It's a bang play. Linebacker picks it off. Christian Watson gets hurt, right? I've talked through this one multiple times before. Matt LaFleur's talked about it. They're running a play. They love to run. You're getting the linebacker to run up the seam with the tight end, in this case, Luke Musgrave. You've got the wide receiver sitting down and Christian Watson coming right behind him. It's a rhythm throw. It's a timing throw. Love hits his plant foot. He sees the linebacker carrying with the tight end and Luke Musgrave, rips the ball to Christian Watson that's supposed to be basically wide bleep open. And instead, the linebacker, who was supposed to travel with the tight end, they clearly were prepared for this play. It is a staple play in Green Bay's offense. It's understandable that Minnesota would have this scouted, right? The linebacker falls off the tight end at the last moment, jumps the play to the wide receiver, makes a crazy contested catch, and picks off the pass. That, to me, is a wholehearted 100% tip your cap to the defense. That is a play they run over and over with great success. He sees exactly what he wants. Linebacker traveling with the tight end. He's going to have that middle of the field wide open, throws it, and the linebacker came off his guy and made a play. Tip your cap. No real issue there. Number 3, you had the play where Luke Musgrave and Romeo Doubs were in the same exact window. So you throw to Doubs, but Musgrave is in the window. Musgrave tips it. Doubs tips it. Defender picks it off. We learned later that it was Romeo Doubs that had the wrong route spacing on that one, that Musgrave was where he was supposed to be, and Doubs did not run the right route in the right way to get to the area that he needed to. So when Jordan hits his plant foot, sees Romeo coming open, he's not expecting him to be in the exact same window as Luke Musgrave. Now, is it possible that Jordan in this moment could see, all right, I've got Luke in that passing window. I don't have a clear shot. Like, let's just get rid of this. Let's just throw it at Musgrave's feet, whatever we need to do. Yeah, you could probably take a look at that, maybe learn a little bit something from that. But that is a issue where the spacing was wrong. He threw a play that was, he had Doubs right there, and it's just a fluky tip interception play. Not a ton that I'm putting on Jordan on that one. The next one is the Dontavian Wicks end of the Vikings game, arm vomit, punt, whatever you want to call it. It's an awful decision and a bad throw. It's a double whammy. It's a really not smart decision, especially in that specific situation. You had to have points on that drive to keep that game alive. It's a first down throw, and he throws one up. And even if you're going to throw it up, he gave Wicks really no chance at it. So it was a double whammy. That's one you definitely want to have back and is completely on Jordan in that situation. Yes, they got a free blitzer. Yes, it was a situation where they didn't have a great play call for that specific situation, but you still can't just loft one up and let it get picked off on that very specific situation. Then you had the Rams play, the pick six, the bumbling, stumbling, trying to avoid a safety, throw it out of bounds, throws the pick six. It's not a play that you can make in that situation. Clearly a very poor decision from Jordan. I love the fact that he's battling, trying to avoid the safety, trying to make a play, but you just have to learn to live and see another down and not, I get that it's going to be a safety and that's not an ideal situation either. I understand what he was trying to do, but at the end of the day, you can't throw a pick six. You just can't do it. It's too costly. That's one that he would certainly like to have back. The one against the Cardinals, Bo Melton fell down. Not his fault. He threw a great pass on a great timing throw, and Bo Melton just slipped. And it ended up, of course, going right to the defender. So no harm, no foul there for Jordan at least. Texans game, Jalen Petrie, he's throwing the little quick out to Dontavian Wicks. Jalen Petrie comes off his guy, goes to Wicks. There's the deflection, and I think it was Hewitt that maybe picked it off on that play, but Petrie's the one who made the initial play. Is that one, again, he can learn from and maybe read the defense a little bit better? Yeah, I think so. And just have a little bit of vision on what's going on in front of him, making sure that there's not a defender that could maybe make a play on that. It's a great play by the defender. It's a fantastic play by the defender. And I still would probably say, hey, that's a little bit more of a tip of your cap to the defense, but it's definitely one that Jordan can learn from in that situation. Then you have the Jacksonville game where he's banged up. He's throwing the out route to Romeo Doubs, and the rookie corner in Jacksonville, Jones, reads it perfectly, jumps it, picks it off. Is that a play where Jordan needs to make sure it's receiver or out of bounds? Yeah, he probably needs to throw that more outside, and if it ends up out of bounds, so be it. But that was a great play by the defender. One where I give, again, Jordan a little bit more accident forgiveness and saying, hey, I don't know that he had the full arm strength to maybe get that there like he normally would, but it's also a great play by the defender. But again, you can't put it in harm's way there, and it takes points off the board because you're in the red zone there. There was nobody else open on the play, but it's still one that you would like to have back if you're Jordan. And then last but not least, you have the Kirby Joseph pick six on the Josh Jacobs check down that just goes right to the defender. Bad decision, awful, awful throw, and it leads to a massive game-changing moment in that one. So those are the Jordan Love interceptions on the year so far. In addition, there are two other plays that are noteworthy here. Against the Eagles, I think many people forgot about this already. There's a little swing pass to the outside to Josh Jacobs, and he and Jacobs aren't exactly on the same page. Even if they were, it's a really bad decision. He swings it out to him. Jacobs starts to go upfield, and Nakobe Dean comes down. It should have been a pick six. I mean, you could make an argument Jordan should have 3 pick sixes on the season already. That throw to Dean should have been a touchdown every single time. He threw it right to Nakobe Dean. There's nobody else in the flat, and it's going to go for a touchdown. Now, he and Jacobs not on the same page. He's trying to check it down to the outside, but it was a poor decision, poor throw, and that could have been a pick six right there as well. And then you had a throw against the Vikings where he tries to hit Bo Melton deep on a deep post. The safety's all over at the corners there, and it would have been Josh Metellus who had the opportunity to make an interception on that play. So there were 2 other interception potential plays that were out there as well that he got maybe a little bit lucky on. So unlucky on the Bo Melton falling down, and maybe a couple other plays that went a little fluky, like the Musgrave one. But even if you say the Musgrave Dobbs one, right, where they're in the same window, take the same window one away, take the Melton one away, and put the Nakobe Dean and the Josh Metellus one in, and you're still at the same amount of interceptions, right? So it kind of has evened itself out at least a little bit. Let's then take a look at what that means for how he's been performing in comparison to the rest of the quarterbacks around the league. Per PFF, they give Jordan Love a 3.7% turnover-worthy play percentage. All right? So that is a play that is deemed to be a situation where there arguably should have been a turnover on the play. Whether it's a fumble, interception, or a play where, like Nakobe Dean, for example, dropped the pick, right? That's still a turnover-worthy play. That should have been an interception. So Jordan Love, 3.7%, which means, right, every 100 throws that he makes, basically 3.7 or almost 4 of them are being put in harm's way. Okay? That's where we're at. So 1 out of 25, basically, 1 out of 25 are being put in harm's way in some capacity. All right, that's where the number's at. There are 39 quarterbacks so far this season who have thrown at least 100 pass attempts. That puts Jordan at 26th out of those 39 QBs. Russell Wilson leads the league so far at a 1% turnover-worthy play percentage. Drake May is worst at 5.9%. Jordan is still so far better than Matthew Stafford, Spencer Rattler, Will Levis, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, Andy Dalton, MVP candidate Jared Goff, Joe Flacco, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Anthony Richardson, Jameis Winston, and Drake May. Those are the quarterbacks that he's better than. All right, so to give you kind of an idea of a player that maybe you would want him to be somewhere in that realm, you'd probably like him to be a little bit better, but Josh Allen is at a 3.5% turnover-worthy play percentage. Remember, he's been lauded for taking better care of the football so far this year. 3.5% for Josh Allen, 3.7% for Jordan Love. We're talking a minuscule difference between, again, a quarterback who is being talked about at least pretty closely in that MVP conversation to a quarterback that is, supposedly struggling with all the interceptions that they've had. From a turnover-worthy play percentage, Love and Allen very, very close so far this season. I'll say it one more time. He ranks 26th out of 39 on this season. All right. Now in 2023, Jordan Love had a 2.4% turnover-worthy play percentage. That was tied for 11th. Now in this case, since it was a full season, I put 300 minimum attempts for that one. So he was 11th out of 35 total quarterbacks, tied for 11th. All right, so that's a much better percentage and a much better ranking, right? He was at 2.4%. To give you an idea, last year, Patrick Mahomes was at 2.4%, same as Jordan. Lamar Jackson was at 2.8%. Josh Allen was at 2.9%. So he had a better turnover-worthy play percentage than Mahomes, Lamar, or Josh Allen. And if you look at it from the opposite side, some of the quarterbacks who were in the top 10 last year, Kenny Pickett, Tommy DeVito, Aiden O'Connell, Derek Carr. Just because you're not having the turnover-worthy play percentage doesn't necessarily mean that you're going out and actually succeeding as a quarterback either. Again, there is some times where you're maybe trying to take a little too care of the football. If you go back to when Jordan Love started as a quarterback since 2020, his interception percentage, 3.2% since he started. 3.2%. So again, basically every 100 throws, he's putting it in harm's way 3%. To give you a comparison, all right, Aaron Rodgers, since 2020, 2.2%. We've talked about how great a job Aaron does of taking care of the football. So in 100 throws, all right, we're talking about since 2020, since Jordan came into the league, in 100 throws, on average, every 100 throws, Jordan is putting it in harm's way one more time than what Aaron Rodgers was doing since 2020. All right. Patrick Mahomes is at 2.7%, so about 0.5% better than Jordan. And Josh Allen is at 3.5%, 0.3 worse than Jordan since 2020. If you go back to 2020, Jordan Love is 22nd out of 53 quarterbacks with at least 500 pass attempts. Again, going back to 2020. He is tied with Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, and 0.1% ahead of Brock Purdy. That's where he's at. So I think the first thing I want to just state here overall, okay, is that yes, Jordan needs to be better specifically this year. But if you're thinking that this is like some super egregious, he's in the bottom 5, he's just, he can't take care of the ball whatsoever, it's just not the case. It's not the case this year where he is towards the bottom a little bit more, which is absolutely true, right? But he's 26th out of 39, all right? Now, you need that better, and it should be better. I'm not absolving it completely, but we're not talking bottom 3, bottom 5 here by any means. And if you look at it through the course of his career, all right, since he came into the league in 2020, all right, minimum, 500? Yeah, minimum 500 pass attempts. 53 quarterbacks have attempted at least 500 pass attempts. He's 22nd. All right, he's in the upper half of that overall. So it's not something that is ultra egregious up until this point. But this season, we can agree it does need to be better. All right, let's take a look at it from a different standpoint. Instead of the turnover-worthy plays, let's just take a look at it from pure interception rate. Jordan has now started 25 regular season games and 2 playoff games in his career. All right, 27 games total that he has started. He's thrown 24 interceptions in 27 games. So just under 1 interception per game is where he's at so far. That gives him a 2.7% interception rate in his career. So just to give you again an idea on this, every 100 throws that he makes, 2.7 of those are interceptions. 2.7 every 100. To give you an idea of where that puts him, Aaron Rodgers in his career, 1.4%. That's again where we talk about how incredible he was. So he's about half of where Jordan has been at in his career, right? Tom Brady was at 1.8%. Josh Allen in his career is at 2.3%. All right. So you'd like to see that right around there, because I think a lot of people would say Josh has a propensity to throw a few too many interceptions, right? So you'd probably like that to be around or maybe even a little bit better than Josh Allen. How about Jay Cutler, our good friend Jay, who liked to turn over the ball quite a bit? He was at 3.3%. Brett Favre was at 3.3%. So he's not as good as Aaron or Brady or even Josh Allen, but he's better than Brett. He's better than Jay. We're not talking that bottom tier, even you're right around there, 3.3%, right? So he's better than that. If you want to look at quarterbacks in their career who have a 2.7% interception percentage, and I kept this around like modern quarterbacks, at least semi-modern quarterbacks, right? Quarterbacks who have a 2.7% interception percentage: Baker Mayfield, Andy Dalton, Peyton Manning, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tony Romo, Matt Schaub, Michael Vick, and Cam Newton. Some good quarterbacks in there. Some ones that definitely turn the ball over a little bit too much, but that's where he's at. If you look at 2.6%, our friend Mitch Trubisky, who liked to turn over the ball a decent amount, he was at 2.6%. 2.3% is Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, and Drew Brees. 2.0% is Lamar Jackson. 1.9 is Patrick Mahomes. 1.8 is Brady. 1.6 is Justin Herbert. 1.4 is Aaron Rodgers. All right, if you go back to 2023, Jordan was at a 1.9% interception percentage, identical to where Patrick Mahomes has been in his career so far. The 2023 was a great example of what Jordan can do and what you're hoping for him to do. Now in 2024, Jordan is at a 4.2% interception percentage. 4.2%. All right. For comparison's sake, Jameis Winston in his career is a 3.4% interception percentage guy. 3.4. And he is one of the higher quarterback, modern day interception percentages really, again, in modern times at 3.4. Jordan this year is at 4.2. Trent Dilfer, go back to Trent Dilfer, who had a likelihood of throwing quite a few interceptions game to game. He had a 4.1%. Jordan's at 4.2 so far this season. Where I think that goal needs to be is around 2.3%. Again, that puts him on that Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Drew Brees line. Quarterbacks that could make some big throws, but would also make a mistake here or there. I think that's where you kind of want that line to be. 1.9% last year, fantastic. 4.2% this year, not good enough. I think we can all agree with that. So I think if your goal is your interception percentage right around 2.3%, if your turnover worthy play right in that 2.5 to 2.7 range, which again is more in that Patrick Mahomes is at 2.7%, I think you feel good. If you're at 2.7% turnover worthy plays, that's Patrick Mahomes level. And if you're at 2.3% interception percentage, that's Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Drew Brees level. I think you feel very confident in both of those. I'll say it one more time. The 1.9% in 2023, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. If he can get back to that, you are cooking in a very, very fine way. You're talking Michelin chef stuff here. That's fantastic. All right. If he's at the 4.2% where he's been so far this year, it's unsustainable. You cannot win that way. You absolutely cannot win that way, especially when two of them were pick sixes and another should have been. Okay. So that's where I'm at with Jordan right now. We're not talking bottom 5. We're not talking even bottom 10 here. We're talking about a quarterback who has struggled more this year. In his career as a whole so far, he's in a pretty average-ish spot. Last year in 2023, he was fantastic. This year in 2024, it's not been good enough. That's an easy thing to say. I'm not making things up. It has not been good enough. Now we can talk about, again, the fact that he has been injured, that they have not been in rhythm on offense, that there's been a lot of inconsistencies surrounding him, and also that he's made some poor decisions and that he's in year 2 as a starter, and that is bound to happen. You're probably going to take a few more chances, especially after you get made, at least for a moment, the highest paid quarterback in the league, the highest paid player in the league. You're going to test out your superpowers a little bit, especially coming off an epic end of last season. That's what I feel like he was doing maybe a little bit. And my guess is he's going to come out and have a very concerted effort to make sure that he is taking much better care of the football. And I very much expect him to do so. So yes, Jordan Love does need to play better. He needs to take better care of the football. That's not debatable. As I said, 4.2% so far in 2024, that is unsustainable. You cannot win in this league at that rate. That needs to come to about 2.3%. If he can do that, he's going to have a great second half of the season, and he's going to be, I think, one of the better quarterbacks in this league. And listen, this might be one of those years, we'll see what the second half brings, that he might not be able to bring that down enough in the second half to get that to 2.3%, right? But if he can get close to it, and that he can start building good habits and take those into the rest of this season, hopefully the postseason and into next year, you're going to feel very great overall with where Jordan is at. I believe he can play better. I believe he will play better. I have a ton of faith in Jordan, in Matt LaFleur, and maybe the most of all in Tom Clements. They will get this drilled in him. And I do really feel like even coming off that last game against Detroit, there was a different tone to what Jordan was saying in his press conferences. And you could just tell he understands. He understands the gravity of the situation, that he needs to do a better job on it. And like I said, I'll say it one more time, I truly, truly believe he will. Let's see if we can get that started off on the right foot this week against the Chicago Bears. So that number that you're looking for, 2.3% interception percentage, somewhere between 2.5 and 2.7% turnover-worthy plays. That's what you're looking for. If he gets there, you're in a really, really great spot. If it continues to be a struggle and we stay in that 4%-ish range, simply put, it's not going to be good enough. Now, we'll just have to wait and see what Jordan can do the remainder of the season. If you missed my bold prediction from yesterday, go check that out. You're going to want to check it. You're going to want to see it because it was very much related to our conversation from today. That is going to do it for me today. I appreciate you guys as always for being here. Shout out to our All-Pro and Hall of Fame members, Mo Saint and Minnesotan, PJ Wayne, John Wild, Brandon Paletta, Jennifer Wright, Boom Handle, Donald Lee, Lori Lord, Baby QB, David McCluskey, Donald Decker, Alex Wong, Arnaldo Espinoza, Peter Ritaka, SoCal Pack, Jay Zimmerman, B. Brown, Lovin' Football, Puerto Rican Packer, and Dan Gesford. I will see you guys all very, very soon. Tuesday night, Pack-A-Day Live. So 7:30 Central Time, different date, different day, different time. So 7:30 Central on Tuesday night. Tonight, as you're probably listening to this, will be Pack-A-Day Live. Happy Hour will be on Thursday this week, so keep an eye out for that. Members Q&A will be Wednesday. The Wednesday and Thursday ones will be at 4 p.m. And then we'll do pregame and postgame show before and after the Bears game. So keep an eye out for those. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I will see you all very soon. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.